Deathwatch.
Hi, my name's Chris. I'll be your GM for this evening. On this, the 8th episode of A Prophecy of Dusk and Dawn, I am, unfortunately, not joined by the usual suspects as Brandon had a prior engagement, but I am joined by my other two usual suspects who will now introduce themselves, starting with...
Hello, I'm Travis. I'm playing Hadrius Ordius, simple merchant, simple man, despite my companion's lack of belief in that fact. It is true. And I'm a little uncomfortable in this current circumstance, surrounded by brigands, gangbangers, whatever you want to call them. Especially ones that listen to dreams. You never know which way the wind's going to blow on that one, but we'll see how it turns out.
And I am John, playing Jardane, a.k.a. Dane Glass, previous world's best merchant. It's hard to be a merchant when you don't have any wagon or goods.
Don't worry,
but
you can take it.
I'm sure our
you can take it out of.
I'm sure our fortunes will turn.
Sorry, you can take it out of Hadrius's pay.
You still are. You are the goods.
I need a new wagon.
And that's the Hadrius point right there. Is that what are you talking about? I'm still a merchant.
Yeah, I still have one goods. You.
Sorry about interrupting you, though, John. All right, so let's get started now, shall we? Giorgio sat in the growing gloom of his parlor and counted the seconds in the distance as the bells atop the Ecclesiam Solaris rang out, filling the valley with their sweet sound. It was cut short by a sudden and thunderous explosion in the direction of Castrium Solar. "Oh dear," Giorgio said to the empty room, a smile on his lips. "I do hope no one was injured." With that, we now go over to the 28th eve of Spring's End in the evening. You guys were joined earlier in the day by Garbon and his gang. At the time, they were 15, but since leaving the city, much of the gang that was left to deal with the other group of brigands that you had offended, they have caught up to you, and their ranks have now swelled to about 45. The North Pilgrim's Road, now dusty from the rising heat and lack of rain, as spring threatens to give way to summer. Your band has swelled as the additional members of Garbon's gang have caught up to you after dealing with the brigands. Back in Eklon, you found yourselves surrounded by no less than 45 strong, each one of them a Morris Oris thug. So it's now getting on towards evening, and Garbon's suggesting, I think we should make camp, Gov. What say you?
Fine idea, Garbon. Yes, let us camp here.
Right here in the middle of the road, Gov.
Well, maybe over there.
Over yonder.
Yes. Good eye. Me feeling like I can't make any arguments to the contrary.
So you're yes manning?
It's the only move I got.
Hey, you're an easy sort to get along with, ain't you, Gov?
I try to be, but, we can't always.
So they begin to, it's right now it's mostly, these are the plainslands. And so it's a bunch of grass that is currently green but already beginning to yellow. And so the gang goes off a ways and begins kind of stamping down some grass. Another group begins to dig out a pit, most likely to become the cesspit for the night. At some point, you realize that they've abandoned their colors, the Lachlan colors that they were wearing, and now they walk around in a mismatch of ill-fitting armor and dirty, rusted plate here or there.
Okay. I know my first order of business is to check on the 3 of my remaining horses.
Okay.
Gotta get a better look at them now that we're some ways distant from any trouble, and see what kind of damage they took and if any attention will need to be given. Not that I'll be able to give it to them, but I could at least whisper comforting words to my horses.
They're all hurt. I'm just going to say that 1, 2, 3, 4. So left to right, front to back. So one died. That number 1 horse died. So
Yes.
left, front.
What was that horse's name?
I don't know. It's up to you.
I know I had them written down. I'm looking for when I named them.
So, right front, he's or she, whatever, if it's a stallion or a mare, is fairly hale and whole, save for a small scrape on its leg, on its right front leg. The third and fourth horses are in pretty bad shape, again, on their legs. The third one you think is, or it has a fairly bad cut, and it's not quite limping, but it's walking gingerly on that leg. The fourth one you think might actually have a problem in the work, and it's definitely favoring its left front leg, if you wish to know, the golden limb, as I like to call it.
Yeah. How do we go about treating them? Just with the regular first aid?
Oh, I've made the call that first aid is temporary hit points, and then you gain 1 hit point back a week.
Right.
Unless, because you're gonna have to make heal checks and infection checks. If you're not infected and you did a really good job at healing that week, you gain your hit point or more back, or the temporary hit points might become permanent. But what I'm going to do is, you can do first aid every time they do something that is strenuous and requiring that body part. It loses 1 point from the temporary hit points.
Gotcha.
And then upon reaching 0 temporary hit points, you're kind of back to square one. So you can make that if you want. Or you can try to find someone else.
Yeah, I'll probably have to try to find somebody else, but I'll pat them down and make sure they're secured so they don't wander off.
All right.
Whether hobbling or, using the parts of their gear that was left on them from being harnessed there. And because my first aid's minimum, I believe. So I'll go over to check on Dane and Ollie.
All right. Let's see.
I'll so when we make camp, I'll go sit over by Ollie, but this is where I'll take the time to reload that firearm.
Right.
Try not to make it super obvious to the other members of the camp, but at this point I know Ollie knows, so he's the next to go.
Yeah, I think
not really, but
I think Ollie's sitting over near the road. They found a rock, or on the edge of camp closer to the road, but they found a fairly flat rock, and him and some of the men are dicing.
Okay.
And
is Ollie's dicing with people, or he's alone?
Dicing with people.
Oh, okay. Then I guess I'll go to the other side of the camp. As I don't want it to be a well-known thing that I've got this weapon, so I'll go kind of sit off a little ways away, and just looking, I guess, outward into the forest or the hills, wherever we're at.
It's all plainland.
Forested hills.
It's hilly plains.
Yeah, when you take a hit to the head like I did.
I see.
It's
thought
all
you took a
from here.
Thought you took a hit to the arm.
No, I broke my arm. Yeah, but I'll just I'll sit out there looking out towards the rolling plains and I'll reload that.
You're treated to a fairly beautiful sunset. Nice clear sky. Luna is a sliver overhead as night begins to fully take on.
Oh, she doesn't care about us right now.
So this camp is far from like a professional military camp. It's fairly disorganized. Many of the men don't have any sort of covering or tents. They just have a bunch of blankets that are wool. And Garbon has several of the men, or group of the men, pull lots for tonight's watch and their order. And they have a fairly heated debate over on exactly how they should organize this watch. It seems to be a thing that they do. And Garbon eventually has enough of it and shuts it down. And he goes about getting himself some food. They've reconstituted or rehydrated some of these hunks of dried beef, chipped salted beef, and have made a very thin soup out of it that they soak up with a bunch of hard, wormy bread, which you guys are more than welcome to.
Might as well.
Can I try and do some gathering of materials from our fire?
Oh, Yeah, you can. You'd have to, if you want the best yield, you'd have to make the fire yourself. So you can go about that. But if not, you could probably get a small amounts of materials from it in the morning.
I'll make it. As after I reload that firearm, I'll offer to make or build the fire, and that way I can collect from it.
Yeah, Garbon kind of watches you as you're doing it and comments. He's backseating your your campfire building. Oh, Gov, it's never gonna take. Oh, look at that! It ain't gonna work.
I guess just give it a minute, and if I'm wrong, then you can take over.
All right, Gov. Looks like we know how they teach you city folk, though.
What did you want me to roll for that?
In the morning, you can roll your alchemy.
Okay.
And you'll get 1 unit on a success, and then we'll double it as we go up, or add more to it as we go up.
Okay.
All right. So, night's fully set. As I said, Luna's a sliver in the sky. Travis, roll persuade, fast talk, bargain, or difficult charisma to try to find someone, unless you wanted to just go to, like, Ollie, because I think he has first aid.
Yeah, he had it at 30. We'll see if we can find somebody who's a little bit better.
Okay.
Horses. Let's try bargain.
Okay.
Failure.
Unfortunately, you find a man, and, his father worked with horses. His Morris accent is so thick, even you have a hard time understanding him. But he says that the best thing you can do when they are injured like that is to just put them down.
Yeah.
Steal new ones.
Whoa, friend, I'm not a thief. I thought I've made that abundantly clear.
He informs you through much slang, Morosaurus wharf slang, that he himself is not a thief. And gives you a wink.
Right. Well, I'll walk away shaking my head.
At least you think that's what he was trying to tell you.
Guess I have the look of a rogue about me.
A scoundrel, perhaps.
Well,
I only do light trading in human flesh.
I'll contemplate putting the horses down for a minute, but I'll delay whether I'll actually do that. And I guess I'll go chat up Garbon then, whatever he's doing.
Yeah, currently he's sitting around the fire. He's finished his food, and he's kind of whittling on a stick.
Good evening, Garbon.
Hey, Gov. How's night treating you?
Oh, well enough, I suppose. Might have to put down my horses. I'm not too happy about that. But what can you do? Reality of traveling by such beasts, I suppose.
Well, if you do, let me know. Feed the camp for a while on them.
Yes, I was also afraid of that. But we have to get by how we can. Fact of life.
You being a humble and reputable merchant, yes. I'm always willing to discount the pay you'd owe us.
All right, well, I will consider that. You mind a bit of conversation tonight, Garbon, or if you have the energy for it?
Yeah, always have energy for a bit of a gab. What's on your mind, Gov?
Just wanting to get to know you is all. What kind of man are you? Or what did you do before all of this came to the region?
I did what most of us born on in the shanty town outside Morris did. I worked the ships during the winter, head over to the east so I can stay warm, and so business keeps going. And then in the summer, I came on back and I worked the forest, mainly the main roads. Me and me crew, we was able to hold that down for a bit, Gov, but then I took on this job.
All right, this job. Yes, the problem with this job is you only extract so much out of one man. But if you're in my line of work, you can do it over the course of his entire life. You ever considered a career change?
I think of myself as a bit of a jack of all trades, Gov. I dabble my fingers in the fineries of the elite society, and then a bit of merchant and ship trading here or there.
Right. Well, and I'll kind of launch.
Where are you going with this, Gov?
Into a long-winded pitch. Well, basically, my vision for a train of traders, stretching from the southern tip of this all the way to the north, and ships going across the east back and forth. and trade. And I'm really like leaning on this concept of the problem with, banditry and thievery, although I'm not going to necessarily use those words, is that you kill a man, you take his money, you can only do that one time. But if you trade with him, you can take his money every time, and he might even thank you for it if you do it well enough, But this is, I'll realize, I'll be like, this is kind of, you may take it with a grain of salt coming from a man in my situation right now, but I guarantee you that this is but a momentary setback.
All right. Do you want to try a persuade or a bargain?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to. Yeah, we'll hit the bargain again. Basically, what I'm getting at is I'm looking for a future partner in this endeavor. But at the very least, you and your men, it might be wise to adopt such a persona as we travel going forward.
Oh, I see, Gov.
What is going on?
Let's see. That would be POW if you want to attempt to shift that.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I think I used it in the same day, so I'm down to 1 point.
So you can only shift it twice. You could push it.
Well, I ought to get a success on the next roll, one would think.
I would always say to push if I was a player.
Let's go for it. Special!
All right. So, you kind of see a light dawn in his eyes as he kind of is listening to you. He's like, I like the way you're thinking, Gov. 50%. Oh, right off the top.
Whoa. 50%. Well, we have to figure out what exactly you're bringing to this. I feel like I'm going to have to show you a lot of what it is that a merchant does. So you're like an apprentice in a way. Of course, I would not say that. I'm just saying that that's how the world would think on these things. Of course, I don't see you as an apprentice exactly,
I've been out in the world for a bit, I have, Gov.
Yes.
I think I have a good idea how the world works. I know how to negotiate just as good as the next.
Oh, well, you're not doing badly. You're coming in a little strong, I might say.
But one would argue that I am able to come in strong, Gov, because I have the upper hand.
I am interested to see your logic in that.
I see but 3 of you and yours, and 45 of mine.
Right. That's true. But we're not in a battle, my friend. And those numbers don't matter as much.
I would argue that negotiation and mercantile is a battle.
Yes, but different aims. We're not trying to kill people here, Garbon. We're trying to get their money in our pockets, leave them alive to make more money, get their money again, put it in our pockets, and we're doing this over and over again till the end of our days, until they have little money and we have a lot of money.
Well, perhaps then you need to speak to the loan sharks on the wharf, because they have a different way about going about things. It involves the breaking of limbs, Gov.
But have you ever noticed that loan sharks only loan to the poor? You'll never see a noble taking on their loans at those rates.
But I see them getting money out of that person day after day until the day that person winds up in the ocean.
Well, fair enough. Well, let's give me a few nights to think on it.
What I will do is I will say that as this discussion drags on, because of your special, you are able to begin shifting him more to your point of view.
Right.
And I will also say that you are aware that while he has 45 men, that you are actually still at the advantage based on what he told you earlier.
Yeah.
Which is that he doesn't want whatever wants you safe to come after him.
Right, yeah.
So, he might have 45 men, but there's something higher hanging over his head. Whether or not you want to bring that up.
No, I won't play that right now. I guess the main thing I'm trying to shift, let me direct my goal, because I'm not trying to jump into having like a trading company whole cloth tonight. Mm-hmm. The main thing I'm trying to shift his viewpoint into is operating under the ruse of us being like a merchant group, right?
I was picking up what you were putting down. Yeah, and you wouldn't have, you have nothing to trade right now.
Right,
really, so, unless you want to pass Jardine around.
Alchemists have many talents. But no, it's Yeah, just getting him to see the wisdom of that ruse for the safety of our journey.
Yeah.
Is my main goal for tonight. But yes, I'll keep his idea of a 50-50 trade, like I'm entertaining it through the rest of the conversation, but not quite going to.
You can change that as well with the 10%.
Yeah. So yes, I will. That's what I'll end on is, well, let me think on that for a few nights. It is an exciting offer, and it would definitely move us both forward. I can readily agree to that. You're an interesting fellow, Garbon. I see, whether we're partners or not, that our future will not be lacking any excitement.
I don't know, Gov. I'm been getting older, getting some creaks in me. I think I kind of don't like excitement.
Well, yes, I would agree with you. I don't like the type of excitement that...
Give me a fat lordling on a golden carriage to just come on by, open up his mouth and take an arrow right in it out the back of his head, and just give me all that lucre.
No, see, that sounds like excitement to me, Garbon.
Oh, it's a Tuesday, me lord.
You and I are very different men, but I respect you.
Gov, not my lord, sorry.
Yeah. And it has been a day filled with unexpected events, so I think I will bid you a good night, friend.
You need a blanket or a bedroll, Gov.
Well, yes, actually, I do find myself in...
I am more than willing to rent one out to you.
Oh, really? And what are the terms?
Those will be discussed at a later date, Gov.
I'm not going for favors.
Don't take it so serious. There you go. All right. And he tosses you a tightly rolled up and then bound with a hemp rope blanket at you.
Okay, well, I'll bow and give him my thanks. But I did mean to check on Dane as well at some point.
When you give him a bow, he kind of gets a surprise, not a real surprise, a faux surprise look, and he turns to the guys sitting around at the fire with him. He's like, bowing to me. Look, I'm some pompous king.
Hey,
and
this is a skill all of you should learn.
You feel that your voice was drowned out by the kind of the raucous laughter that was going on. But it all seems to be in good nature for now. They seem to have, at the very least, have become hospitable to you, if not outright accepting you. Garbon seems to be the one that...
following his lead on it.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, so then off to find Dane to see how he fares.
I'm good.
Just sitting here.
There you are. What are you building there?
Hanging out.
Is that a fire?
Oh no, it was it would be one of the fires that that are populating the camp.
How's the arm treating you, Dane?
It's painful, but it should get better with time. It's not the first injury I've sustained in life.
Well,
it was my leg was broken early in childhood. Fear that if the healing is not done correctly, that I may lose some mobility, but we'll try to take some care.
Well, and I'll sort of kneel in and kind of cast my gaze around and say, well, what do you think of the current situation?
While I agree with the additional force, I feel that we may also have just made ourselves targets for any of the roving soldier or units that are out here. So I feel it could be very dangerous.
Yes,
but I'm taking steps to make sure that we have some way to extract ourselves from it.
You said you're taking steps?
It involves gunpowder, a pound of it.
Blow an escape hole in the group of bandits around us. Boom, go that way. Well, I'll kind of like look around and be like, I don't see any steps here, Dan. What are you talking about? Although I do agree, I have half a mind to slip away at the next opportunity. It's a nerve-wracking situation to be in, but I haven't quite figured a way out of it.
Well, what do you make of them? Saw you conversing with their leader.
Yes, well, they're criminals, which is not unlike a simple merchant such as myself. It's a matter of getting them to change their perspective, which is what I am trying to do. And if I can do that, then I will feel much more comfortable. But, men such as these, they don't have a very long horizon. They see very short term, and that's what frightens me because, goals and aims and our alliance at this moment, all those can shift very quickly. So we'll just have to see. But for tonight, I think we're okay, and possibly tomorrow. But beyond that, it's anybody's guess.
Well, we'll just have to roll with it for right now, and like I said, we'll see where it takes us. As having extra men around is never a bad thing, at least in terms of safety. Although food and care and just drawing attention overall is a little bit worse off.
So outside of the main roads around these lands, I don't know much about them. Perhaps if we get separated, do you know what we might do other than just head to where we're already heading separately? I was thinking somewhere close by. If for some reason we have to run, we can meet up again in the same place. Or perhaps you're as unfamiliar as I am, i.e., what is your navigate skill? Or whatever that would fall under.
Yeah, I don't really have one. I tried a hard no, but I didn't get that.
Unfortunately, your most of your time spent traveling around Natale Solis Jardine, you're usually in the company of other alchemists and their guard and several nobles that all knew where they were going. It was kind of your job to just not anger anyone.
So what have we...
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not very familiar with the land around. And I was really relying on your knowledge of it to get us where we're going.
Well, I can see now that was a mistake to be so uninformed. How about a different question? What do you think will occur when we arrive in Castromlo with such a large entourage?
I guess it just depends on who we're talking to and how well you do the talking. I would not recommend all of us showing up at the gates at once. As probably send yourself and maybe either the leader and me, or the leader of this band and me and Ollie up as a smaller group, or maybe just you and one other person up as a smaller group to explain that the larger group is coming, so that no one gets frightened.
Okay, well, I'll take that into consideration. Well, I'm quite tired. It's been one heck of a day, and I'll sort of give a angry look at the sliver of a moon and mutter about becoming a suspicious person.
You notice that Luna's eyes opened?
Yeah.
She's full in the sky.
Oh, wow. Dang. So, yeah, that'll give me a start. And
it happening to you,
yeah,
or you being able to witness it, is something that might be very disheartening.
Yeah.
But usually, like, it's something like her phase, the moon phase, is constantly ever changing and in flux. So you've never seen it, but you have heard that this is a case where it'll be full in one day, completely a new moon the next, or potentially even change throughout the course.
Yeah, my pattern detection, though, was like picking up on the gossip moon as, strange events were opening the path ahead of us. So that's like where he's becoming superstitious now and he sees it, right?
So bad omen for Hadrius.
So, I'll just be like, well, good night, Dane. Hopefully tomorrow is not so tumultuous, and rest well, friend.
As you as well, and I'm sorry about your wagon and your horse.
was bound to happen. I don't actually know much about wagoneering and horse riding, to be fair. I was hoping for the best.
All right. Go for it.
Oh, well, maybe we can experiment again, later down the road.
Yes, and hire
get another wagon.
Hire a driver.
All right. So, as you guys lay down for bed, you can roll a listen or a spot.
All right. So the spot was a what now?
Supplementary skill. It's not important or as important as listen.
Okay.
So if you want to still use your spot, you can use it to give your listen a bonus, essentially.
Yeah, I'll go for the listen. Did you want one from Ollie as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's see what we got here.
Mine.
So roll your listen now, Jono, with a plus 20 to it. Okay.
And here's Ollie.
All right. So you all hear an odd sound just as you're kind of beginning to doze off. It's almost like a whistle, kind of a... Jardine, because you supplemented that with spot, you also see something pass over the full form of Luna in the sky. You barely saw it. It was almost a blur, but you think it was like a small disc. And that's where the sound was coming from.
I don't remember any stories of bandits turning into whistling discs, but I do recall that this is an alien attack. I'll if I can't place that, and I'll get up and go find Ollie and ask him if he has ever seen or heard of such thing.
I'll let Travis determine Ollie on this one.
Well, he heard the sound, but he didn't see anything pass.
Yeah, he doesn't know what it could be, but I'll let you tell Jardine in Ollie's words.
Yeah, I heard something, but I don't know what it was.
You've never heard of a device or a weapon that would do that? Make that noise? Or
let's see what Ollie's got for...
I mean, not without a big sound at the end of it. You sure you didn't just see a bat?
It didn't look like a bat.
Meter.
I guess for Hadrius' part, he would just, if he just was going to sleep and he hears an odd sound, he would just lay there for a little while and see if it would happen again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hear it a couple more times as you're laying there. Ollie made camp near you, so you hear him and Jardine muttering about something. So you two, Ollie and Jardine, you also hear the sound a couple more times as you're talking.
Yeah, I suppose Ollie might, just because it's persistent, he'll probably like stand up, become more alert, and see if he can locate the source of it. Like, is it coming from any particular direction or just above?
Almost seems to it's overhead when you guys are hearing it, and it almost sort of seems to start. Well, of course, it starts in one place and ends in another, but it seems to kind of bow, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like it's not straight from one side to the other wherever it's going. It seems to kind of start
go in like a half circle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Right, what could it be? Some animal, some night bird.
And at this point, most of the camp is asleep as well. They hit the hay pretty early, right after food or right after dinner in a lot of cases.
There's some men on watch though.
Oh, yeah. Roll spot.
Yeah. Guess this will be from Ollie since he's become curious. You got a success.
All right, so Ollie is looking around the camp, and many of the watchmen, there was about 5, aren't there anymore. And he spots the 5th one right as he falls. And around that same time, that whistling stopped.
Well, that's not good. Hadrius, you better get yourself up. Looks like we're in some trouble here. So, yes, Hadrius will be like, oh, yes. What are you talking about? But yeah, he'll since Dane's right there, he'll be like, the guard's not there anymore. Last one just fell.
As I'll give a shout of alarm as that the camp is under attack. Get up, you fools! We're under attack!
Yeah, Hadrius will start gathering up what meager things he has, and I suppose Ollie will just wait for them to move.
All right. So yeah, your cries for alarm do have the desired effect. Many of the men hop up from their bedrolls. Many are reaching or fumbling for short swords or crossbows. Many of them are in their small clothes, and they kind of gather around and brace, but no immediate attack occurs. And then they kind of begin to lessen their guard. You hear cries of, oh, Ned's down. Got something weird in his face. Garbon starts ordering men to spread out and search because the 5 guards were in fact killed by something.
Right, a strange wound in their face.
As I'll see about going and making up some torches so that they can go search.
Easy enough. There's some a lot of the grass is already beginning to dry, and so you could probably make up a fairly easy one, but you do risk fire of the plains. There are some other torches that you could make, but using like cloth and oil, but it's up to you. The light is fairly decent right now outside the fire ring, thanks to Luna.
Still the gossip moon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's either press in with the herd or get away from this whole mess, Hadrius is thinking. So I guess he'll start moving closer to the group of Garbon's men to try to, blend in there. So he's not the next one to take a disc to the face or whatever this is. But he's like completely out of his element for sure. He wouldn't know what to do in this situation besides flee like a scared child.
I don't know. That sounds like a reasonable choice to me. What about you, Jardine? Other than making the torches, if that's something you still want to do?
As I'll make at least a few or 1 or 2, but I'll stick with Hadrius and Ollie.
Okay. Yeah. So a good chunk, maybe about 20-ish men, push out into the fields. Many of them don't take any light. A lot of them do. Whether it's a couple makeshift torches by Jardine or lanterns that they have. And the night drags on well into the morning of the 29th by the time they're done. And one of the men, a short guy full of scars, just covered in them, at least his face and hands, is reporting to Garbon that, we looked high and low, sir. Ain't nothing out there. We dealing with spooks and specters.
Spooks and specters that can kill, though.
He looks at you like, dumbfounded.
Well, they're dead men, aren't there?
Spooks and specters always kill, Gov.
Well,
that's what the stories. My nan told me all the stories, Gov. They all kill.
Right you are, sir. Right you are.
You think he was actually angry with you.
You're right. I have to change my tact here. I'll whisper to Ollie. I'm going to play it down a little bit. Yes. What would I do if I was absurdly superstitious?
Oh, you kind of have a hard time if it was the superstition or the questioning of him, or the fact that you might have by proxy or by extension called his nan a liar.
Right.
You're not sure what set him off.
What's the problem with these men? Sorry, friend, I didn't have a nan. Did not hear those stories, and my life is the poorer for it.
He kind of nods, and Garbon's like, "Easy now."
Well,
you gotta be careful picking fights like that, Gov.
I know. I understand this now, but I am concerned with what we're going to do on the next night, what can be done.
I think I'm going to increase the watch a bit. He holds up 5 of them. He's kind of holding them gingerly in his hand. And he,
Is this the weapon that killed him?
Yeah,
okay.
It's a metal disc with hollowed out in the middle.
Right.
And it has words in the Ventus Linguis, the old tongue, and other symbols that you don't recognize etched into it.
Right.
It's lightweight. Looks like it's meant for throwing.
Yeah.
You can roll Ventus Linguis or Prope Orientum if you're literate in either of those.
No, I have Lingua Orientis.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Tongue of the East.
Yeah, so I'll frown, as I concentrate on the words here. Maybe old Garbon just goes to a wash, whatever he's saying, and let's see what we get. At 97.
You can push.
All right, I'll try it. 87. No.
All right.
Is it enough to recognize the language?
Yeah, it's a mixture, almost like what's the term? Like a pigeon form of the tongue of the East and the old tongue that was spoken by Solar. It's a kind of a mixture of the two, and the best you can tell, it seems like it is scripture to a thing called the Ma, which you don't really know too much about. You can try to roll a religion. It would be at 1/5.
Yeah, maybe I'll get real lucky. No. Well, I'll pitch my voice low just for Garbon, and I'll say, well, at the risk of causing offense, this is a language that I recognize, though I only read it so well, and I can't translate this, which seems odd for spirits to kill in this way. Usually they just take your face or, something like that. But this is a weapon. Men need weapons. That's one thing I know about war.
Yeah, he's kind of twirling one of them as you're talking to him. I think you got the right of that one, Gov. Spirits don't need this. You say you should be able to read the language.
Maybe if I had some reference material, I'm a little rusty, but I at least know its origin, and I'll tell that to him. And the little information that you gave me.
He kind of squints his eyes in the moonlight and looks at it. Oh, yeah, I think I've seen them squiggles. I've been over that direction across the sea a couple of times.
Now, this is that's where they filled these assassins from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jardine, where are you?
I think he came back to me with that gathering. I don't know if he's standing right by me still. But
so there are other unidentified symbols on these discs. If you would like to attempt an alchemy check,
we are.
I'll push that.
Okay,
tonight.
Push.
Special.
You see several runes on here that you recognize through alchemy because all of your mixology that you do used to be accompanied with runes and spells, because the old form of alchemy, it was believed that you couldn't make a fine powder turn into fire. You needed to put fire into it. And so it used to be when making this black powder that you would have fire all around. And then the alchemists realized that usually it led to a high failure rate and the death of the alchemist. And so they started pulling back on some of the more arcane aspects of it, as they found that it wasn't necessary through time, right? So it's kind of died down by the time that you were doing your studies, right? But you recognize the rune symbol for soul, anima or animus, and death, and something pertaining to a god, like a transference to a god. So you believe that you are probably witnessing part of an incomplete ritual. Beginning is also another symbol, right, on this chakram, or disc, sorry. And so you believe that you're witnessing an incomplete ritual to offer up something, most likely these men.
Magician ghosts. That's what we're dealing with, guys. I'll pull Jardine, or I'll pull myself to the side. Pull Hadrius to the side.
Well, let's be honest. If we were playing Call of Cthulhu, that could very well be something that happens. So
yeah, but I'll pull Hadrius to the side, and since he somewhat knows some of the secrets, or my secrets at least, but explain that somebody is performing. These aren't ghosts or spirits. It's someone is performing.
Keep your voice down.
a ritual.
They're gonna get us in a fight.
Because they offered the souls of these men to a god, but I don't know which one.
Well, okay, so they have begun a ritual. Why didn't they finish it? Was our alertness enough to spook them?
I mean, possibly. Is either that or the ritual is done over a series of days.
So we can expect this to continue tonight. At the worst case, so let's assume that's what's going to happen. And they attacked us without being seen, and they apparently don't need very much light to pick out their targets. So what can be done about that?
We can set the planes afire, take away their hiding spots.
Dynamite. Yeah.
Real quick, sorry, I forgot to mention Jardine. You feel that you might be able to gain an understanding of this ritual if you were to see it in its full.
You just let it play out.
Just saying.
to get the ritual spell. No, that's good. So how many more do they need to finish the ritual? The whole group? All of us?
I don't know. I haven't seen a ritual. We don't typically use rituals anymore.
Right.
Who's we?
We understand that the rituals. I mean, I guess I
just tucking it away and information about. So some sort of dollar sign.
Yeah, this is some
these weird things.
Some sort of maybe lost or fractured group.
Okay. Well, this is a big problem, but I think the more immediate problem is if this happens again. Say,
I know exactly what to do.
Okay.
I will perform the ancient alchemy dance, and everything will be okay.
Well, here's the thing, Dana. Another night of this, and these men are going to draw an obvious conclusion about their run of bad luck, and maybe Garbon thinks differently about his dream.
These are just people out there.
Oh, I believe that, but what can we do? That's what we're stuck on.
Set the soldiers ablaze.
Something's gotta burn.
Something's gonna burn tonight.
Let's see. I wonder
I mean,
I don't think Ollie was much of a hunter already.
If we can't track them and we can't convince them, I mean, then it's I'm at a loss. 'Cause that's not really my expertise to convince people through words.
Yes.
So
well, let's take a minute before we set out the day, and I'll see if I can get Garbon to have another look in daylight at the surrounding area, and maybe we can find some other evidence of these specters in the night. Maybe some among his company have a skill for that. But we'll have to think very hard over the course of the day about what we're going to do come nightfall. But I'll go ask him. So yeah, I'll walk back to Garbon and be like, seeing if my partner Dane had any understanding of the script on the disc, but he did not have much more than I. However, we both arrived at a similar problem that if they come again, we have very little defense of it. And I was wondering if any among your men, sir, or hunters, might be able to pick up a trail out there in daylight. And I found in trade, and I'm sure it's true elsewhere, the man who moves first is usually at an advantage, and perhaps we can get to them before they get to us. Because if you ask yourself, why would they... To me, this has the look of what would a warrior call it? I don't know, like a skirmish or a probing attack, just to see what our capabilities are. But I'm a simple trader. You would know more about that, Carbon.
I think you're right, Gov. It's a setup. Them magnates back in Morosaurus, if we stepping out of line, they'll send bait. Someone that looks all gussied up, and if we take 'em, then they come and they burn the shanty town. I think you got the right of it, Gov, but he kind of pauses, and then he looks over at a man, and he's, Hey, Scrag, gather your boys. You going hunting? And Scrag...
He's not the guy I offended, is he? My shoulders will slump.
He stands up and he's like, Hey, boss. You going hunting? Gather your men. You going tracking? See if you can find the spirit. I want to track a spirit, boss. Ain't a spirit and you know it. But me nan. Oh, no, bugger you, nan. Get on out there, Scrag.
Somehow I feel the blame of his bosses talking down to him will come on to me.
You see Scrag's cold, hard, killer eyes staring at you beneath a mess of scars. Aye, boss, he says. And you see him kind of go over to a couple different bedrolls.
Right.
And kind of start kicking some people awake. And you hear him complaining that, we're going to be losing sleep tonight, boys. Oh, yeah. Hands off your pecker.
All right, so I'm certainly not going to be doing any tracking, so I'll just leave it in their hands. Maybe confer back with Dane here. Well, Dane, if someone was running a ploy on this to come out better on a deal, you'd want to throw up some chaff, right? Lure them into something that seems good, but not as good as they think. How could we do that in this situation? You're a bit of a crafty fellow, I noticed, always tinkering around with our dear departed wagon. Is there some sort of dummy we could make? Think of this. We bed down on the next night. We put up a bunch of men, air quotes, on watch. The rest of us lie low. Maybe we can spot where this attack comes from and do something about it if they don't find anything out there while they're tracking. Does that have any sense in the real world? I don't know. Simple trader.
Well, it would stop them from... I guess it would stop them from killing the men, but I don't know that it would draw them out. Unless you're thinking that they would know, and we keep all of our men... we would have to isolate behind something or in something, because we'd have to put something between it, so they'd have to come in to get us rather than being free to attack out in the open.
Yeah.
So, walls, the first thing that comes to mind, is, though it does take quite a long time to build them.
Yeah, that. We could rule that out. We're not going to put up palisade tonight, I don't think. Not a lot of craftsmen amongst this group, I'd imagine. Or maybe not quality craftsmen. But, well, my thinking was we were unprepared last night. That was the problem. They went after our men on watch, people distant from the group, standing alone, which makes me come to the conclusion that they can, in fact, be spotted. They're not so spectrally that they have no concern for their stealth, right? So if they attack in a direction that does no harm to us and we're aware of it, maybe we'll be able to see it happen and do more than just, go around in the night as firebrands is what I was sort of angling at. If we're ready, we see where it comes from, we rush them. The bandits ought to be used to that. And, beat them up.
With 40 men.
Right.
And it could work.
I'm at my wit's end here. I'll run it by Ollie, too. He has more of a head for this sort of thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But,
well, does he? I nodded yes and before I actually... Ollie Lagarde. I think he was more of a take orders and do the thing as opposed to think of the thing to do type. But Ollie has been in a couple ambush situations. There's also no small chance that he probably has worked the forests north of Mars Oris as well. Most of the wharf rats and the shantytowners have, being brigands. So there's a chance he's done that at some point too.
Right.
So ambush tactics wouldn't be beyond him.
Yeah, well, I'll run it by him to get his thoughts. I'll come at it from the angle, I have no mind for these sorts of things. I'm trying to analogize how I'd behave with a certain pattern in a trade and draw that into this situation. And it could just all be, nothing, not worth anything. But I'm coming to appeal to your expertise, Ollie.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know. Usually, something like this is gonna draw you out, make you think, or try not to think, in fact. Well, get your blood up. Like when you had Garbon send them 5 men out.
Yeah, you think that was part of it?
I think that probably won't end well.
Well, what can you do?
Yeah. What I do know is I'm tired.
Could have piped up about that beforehand, Ollie.
I'm
if
hired.
You're so smart.
I'm hired help, boss.
That's true.
But that said, it's pretty late.
But as I understand it, your rear is on the line here too, Ollie. You can't just be doing your job when it means your life.
If I'm being honest with you, boss, I think I can get out of here fine.
Well, you could, but then you won't earn any more money, at least not from me.
Can't spend money if you're cold.
That's true. So what are we going to do, Ollie?
So every time you ask a new question, he had already rolled over and put his blanket up.
Right.
And so he has to...
Are we going back to sleep here? I thought we had moved on to morning.
No, it's probably about 1 or 2.
Oh.
Maybe getting on to 3 now.
All right. Yeah, I had the wrong idea there.
If it's any consolation to Hadrius, the night has grown darker, and it's because
that is some consolation.
Luna is once again waning.
Yeah, no, my apologies. I had a different impression there, I think, of the passage of time. But
yeah, I think what happened was because I named it the 29th.
Yeah.
Or I said it's the 29th, but it's because it switched over to midnight.
Right, I had a little lag there because we were just standing around waiting for more to happen. Well, nothing can be done about it. Maybe some more dead men. And, yeah, I had the impression there was more light.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there is in the camp, but,
yeah.
So, yeah, like a lot of Garbon's men seem to not really be heading back to their bedrolls.
Yeah.
Some do, like the more grizzled ones. In fact, you hear a couple jokes saying like, "Hey, it only seems to go for men that are standing."
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to lay down.
Yeah, I'll go back to my bedroll then, since it's still night, and worry the problem I've had for the rest of the night.
Alrighty. Morning. If you want, you can add one of those discs to your inventory.
Sure.
Garbon never really took it back. In fact, he threw the rest into the fire. And if you wish, you can attempt another translate of it.
Yeah, let's see here.
But when you guys wake up, Garbon is up, standing by the relit bonfire, or the center bonfire, eating some porridge, and looking off in the direction where Scrag went.
Right. Success that time.
So it is... Actually, I'm looking at Dane. Okay, so it is. So, where is it? The writing on the disc is like a scripture prayer, right?
Okay.
The maw opens, and I, a humble priest, offer up these souls in hopes that he who hungers remains sated and asleep forevermore. And it is punctuated by those runes that Jardine pointed out.
Gotcha. Well, it has very little meaning to me, but it definitely does gel with what little Dane told me. about the meaning behind the ritual aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just tuck it away in my pouch or wherever and continue worrying about the problem at hand.
All right. Jardine, anything you want to add, or do I push on?
No. This is all we'll push on.
All right. So the early morning is beginning to give way to morning, right? Solar is up. There is not a cloud in the sky. It's looking like it's going to be a hot day, and Scrag hasn't returned yet. And it's around this point that you hear Garbon kind of issue a curse and start pointing at men to join him.
Yeah, I'll try to get a sense of what they're planning, or maybe just ask them directly.
Okay.
Yeah, Scrag ain't back yet, Gov.
You're going to have to leave him. I made an error.
Gov, I don't like leaving my men. They don't like it either.
Well, if we don't all go out, then whoever you send out, it's going to end up like Scrag. So it's either we all go out and see what has happened, or we press on.
All right. You're starting to see the underside, I guess the moral underside of Garbon with his next words, which is like,
well, I guess we're all going then, Gov.
And it's not a question. It's just, this is how it's going to be. Like, if we're all going now, that includes you.
Right. Well, that's fine. We can do that, but I want you to consider this. I think they attacked our watch because those were the easy targets. I think they stopped because they wanted to draw us into some action, and we went right for that by sending the men out. And so the next thing they know we might do is go after them. So just take that into consideration.
Oh, I'm picking up what you're putting down there, Gov. But it don't matter. I just can't leave them.
I understand. Let's go see what's what then.
All right.
You and I.
So you guys can issue spot checks. I will roll one for the group. Let's see. I believe I said they were Lachlan.
I failed.
Success for Hadrius and Ollie.
All right. No. Oh. All right. I'm going to keep that fail though. So there, the trail left by Scrag and his men was fairly faint. They were seasoned woodsmen, but not so much on the plains. So there still is a trail to follow. And you and about 35 men now set out in that direction. And eventually you kind of come to a copse of trees. And Hadrius and Ollie, you catch a glint of something inside that copse of trees. The trail continues past it, but you see something.
Right. I'll call it out to the company at large.
Yeah, Garbon, sweating now as it's now getting closer to late morning, and Solar is very much heating up these plain lands here. It has a touch of annoyance in his voice.
Oh, go check it out, Gov. The trail goes that way.
On second thought, it's nothing.
That's what I thought.
The trail ends about 100 yards, around 100 feet after that copse of trees. Nothing is found there. Just stops. Garbon is not happy. His men are starting to look at each other with worried looks on their faces. The superstitious starting to talk about Scrag, saying that his nan always told him about ghosts,
right,
and that they think that they're dealing with a ghost, some sort of plains spirit or a demon, or even worse. And eventually Garbon kind of just throws his hands up.
All right, man, back the way we came. We're just gonna have to pour one out for them.
As you walk past that copse of trees again, you once again notice the glint.
Right. I'll just shrug at Ollie. Be like, what can you do? Some people won't hear reason when they hear it. Of course, you fall into that group now, Ollie.
He looks at you.
Yeah, you're right, Gov.
Or boss, I do.
So when does your contract end, Ollie?
You hired me for the trip, boss. So cast from low. If he even knows that that's where you're going.
Right.
But yeah, your little snide comment is, yeah, I think I'm gonna go check it out, boss.
Do I want to go? All right, I guess Dane's with us. I'll cast
go.
a glance. Well, if Dane's going, then I have to go. So yeah, I'll be like, here you go.
All right,
go take a look.
I'm interested to see if I could find out more.
So Ollie kind of smacks the chest of a guy that he's been walking with. They've been dicing a lot. He's like, I'll go piss. I'll catch up with you. His Morris Oris accent growing thicker.
Right.
And that guy, and continues walking on, don't get caught by the spook. And so Ollie walks off towards the copse trees with the...
Yeah, and Dane falls in with him, and then I'm like, throw my hands up and have to go after both of them.
You hear a jeering, kind of mocking, a shout from one of Ollie's buddies that he's been making. Something akin to,
what are you going to hold each other's hands?
Essentially, like, birds flocking together to the bath type thing. And birds in this case being like chicks, slang for a woman.
Right.
So you enter the copse. Ollie has his halberd at the ready. And it's a little ways in to this thicket.
Right.
And pinned up to a tree, you find Scrag and his men. Jardine, you recognize the runes that are on the disc repeated on the foreheads of the men here. Now it seems to be carved into, like even their skull, right? All the way past flesh into the actual bone. And then you can roll another alchemy check for me with that, because this seems to be a more complete form.
Success.
All right. You may now... Oh, come on. Come on, Surface. You may now make a new craft skill. And, first, actually just roll against a 1d10. Or 1d100, sorry.
You just want me to roll a d100,
Yeah.
you said?
Just in case, because you could critical success or something. Yeah, okay. Now roll a 1d4. 2. All right. So you have gained the knowledge of the Ma offering and religion Ma. You add to, so roll another 1d4. So make the skill craft Ma offering. It starts at a 1. To that, you're going to add that 1d4, making it a 3.
Under knowledge?
Under craft for the first one.
Oh, okay.
Because it's this is you actually seeing how the ritual is made. And then under religion, which is a mental one, I do believe. Unfortunately, brigands don't have religion. I think it's a knowledge skill, so yeah. You would do the same. It would be it'd be religion, the Ma, and then you'd add that 1d4 to its base of 1. In Hadrius, you see again the prayer repeated, and that seems to be painted on with a brush, like he took time on this one.
Well, the blood will drain from my face. And, I almost think it's better that Garbon didn't want to look at this when I pointed it out. One could make a case that superstitious man gets spooked, and when he's sent off on a task alone, he just cuts bait, runs his own way. What do you think about that, Dane and Ollie? Keep it amongst us?
What is, I guess, what do I make of this? Does understanding the runes tell me what they were trying to do?
Yeah, this takes a soul that, the souls of men, man, capital M, like mankind, usually end up going to Solar. That is the belief, right? There isn't really a hell, so to speak, in this world, right? So all souls belong to Solar. This negates that, and instead feeds it to a creature or a being, an entity, a deity, whatever it is, known as the Ma, or he who hungers.
Yeah, I would say we should keep it to ourselves then. Unless you want to tell Garbon that you recommended sending 5 of his men off to have their souls sent to
Essentially hell.
someone other than Solar. Yeah.
Yes, I won't tell him anything of the sort. Well, yeah, we'll keep it amongst ourselves as best we can.
You notice that 4 of the 5 men have those circular or the slash marks that you would associate with the discs. But Scrag just has a wound that is up under kind of his chin, and it's kind of triangular in shape, maybe about, maybe about 3 inches wide, and not made by the chalk or the discs, the metal discs.
Like a dagger up there. Well, so what would they be operating on the assumption that they are summoning something? Are you saying that part? I guess I don't get that part, do I?
Yeah, I'm letting you know that they sacrificed their souls.
It's the opposite.
Were sent to a different god.
But it's the opposite of a summoning. I don't know if I've made that clear, but Jardane, this is to keep the maw asleep.
Oh, okay.
To not wake it up. In fact, it seems to be like a desperate.
So did we just have the bad luck coming across some religious group?
How many souls does it take to say to God?
Well, if you want to roll religions, you may.
Well, no, that's my response to that question.
But it's difficult, at least for these tests, these religion tests. And Jardane does pose the question.
Yeah, well,
it's not a question. It's just the statement. I don't think it was luck. I think they just take whoever they can.
Who come this way? Well, in that case, we better just giddy up.
We should move through as quick as possible.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's do that then.
All right, so you catch back up to Garbon and his men. They break their measly camp, douse the fires that were there. Jardane, you can roll your alchemy to attempt to recover pot ash, which is white ash and charcoal.
It's all push that.
Right. You're able to stop one of the men from dousing the fire that you made the night before, and you're able to get about a nugget of charcoal that is still fairly warm. You have to pry it out with a pair of sticks that you find, and then put it onto something that won't burn. But I'll say you have the necessary stuff for that, like a fairly large, like a tinder box or whatever it was, where they'd keep a coal. You have a fairly large one of those.
Yeah, with sand or something.
So you're able to...
So are you okay with me calling it a unit? So a unit of charcoal, unit of white ash?
Yeah, it's a size 1 is what we all go by. Size 1 thing of charcoal, size 1 thing of ash. And so the idea I'm thinking is, if everything is, we'll use the mean of the sizes to determine how much your yield is, right? Is that cool? You understand what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to need you guys to start saving your urine soon. Just quick heads up.
Ollie gives a good laugh at that.
I'll more under my breath say, I wish I could have held on to those water skins.
You could have. I guess you guys were kind of in a bit of a rush, but you weren't so much of a rush that you couldn't have grabbed them.
Yeah, I went for the gunpowder. But, water skins run dry all the time. And, there's at least 10 back at camp that are going to be unused after a bit, so...
All right, so for today, roll some staminas for me. If you guys have water, appropriate water, it will be at normal difficulty. You guys do have a normal amount of water for today. All right, success... Constitution, success.
Or were any of those men that were sacrificed or killed, were they on the chunky side at all?
Are you gonna take their fat? Don't do that. Hank.
I feel this. Have you ever heard of a god named Cthulhu? Or what was his name? It wasn't him. It was the other one. What was it? Travis, you know it.
Which one's the Thoggy one?
Yeah, that one.
Or the
father.
father.
It was the fat one. Yeah. Have you? We need to sate him as well.
All right, so Ollie, he roll 1d10.
4.
Loses 4 fatigue points. Those will return if he gets a full night rest. He's not having a good time. A lot of his armor currently consisted of like heavy quilted under a lot of his ring mail, I think is what he's in.
It's hot.
Yeah, and it's just overheating him. His helmet remains mostly off for a good part of the day. He's sweating, going through water pretty good. At one point, he comments that you're not paying him enough.
Yeah.
Most of the time, he just complains that this is how you lose weight,
Right.
and he's not liking it. I'm going to be sick and bone, twig and bone, bone and skin. But Garbon is beginning to think that they should keep pushing on into the evening. You being a reputable merchant and all, Adrius, Gov, I don't want to, you being a reputable merchant and all, I won't inform you as to how I know, now that I myself am a reputable merchant guard, wink, but there's a burned out town. We might be able to reach it by nightfall. It'll be getting kind of dark. We can break for camp now, as it's getting on to late day. But we might come under attack again. Same thing happens. Or we can hunker in our actual little fort.
Yeah, I think I like the fort idea, Garbon.
All right, we'll push for it then. He looks at Ollie. You sure you're okay for this? And Ollie kind of waves him away, gives a rude gesture in a lightheartedness that has Garbon issue a laugh. But you've noticed that those laughs it used to be fairly frequent.
Yeah.
They're not so frequent now. And a lot of the jovialness of his men has lessened a great deal. So you guys are now pushing. So again, stamina check. This time it's difficult. Okay. That's something I forgot to do. From Ollie's fatigue, also minus the highest amount of armor for a location. So like if he had like, say he was like wearing nothing except like a full plate arm piece, that was an 8. It would be the highest armor.
So it would be like a 6 in this case.
Yeah, so that's also minus from his fatigue. And the same with you guys, 1d4 plus your highest armor rating.
All I got it this time, but I failed.
Okay. Where's the 1d4s? Give me 1d4s, guys. That's how much fatigue you're losing. 1d4 plus your armor rating.
We went for the max.
That will be restored to you when you get a full night's sleep. Andreas, Ollie.
What do you mean your armor rating? Where is that?
You're wearing leather or cloth? I forget what you're wearing.
Padded,
all right, the AP.
Like padded, quilted. Oh, okay.
That's next to your limb or, whatever. Just the highest one of those will be minus from your... All right, so 4. Plus, what is it? Okay, plus 1. All right. So... Again, Luna starts off, she's at half moon phase currently, as Solar has set long ago, but it's enough, her false light, as it's called, her faux light, is enough for you to see the burned out remains of a fort town, nestled between two mountains, or not mountains, hills, sorry. The gates are open, no noise, light, or smoke comes from it. You guys can roll your senses if you want. It's actually a skill. Yeah.
Fail.
Special.
Nice. Put a check next to it. You smell decay coming from the town, Hadrius, and you have an odd feeling about it.
Right.
This is like tingles down your spine, or your hair standing on end, or goose flesh appearing suddenly on your skin. There's something not right here now. Maybe at one point it was fine, but whatever happened here has made a mess of it.
Okay.
And you also get a sense of Garbon kind of tensing up when he sees this town.
Well, I'll tell you plainly, Garbon, now that we're here, I don't like this spot at all.
I don't like it either, Gov. Remember that dream I told you?
Yes.
Well, the spirit comes and visits me and tells me to protect you. The corpse that comes and tells me to protect you doesn't speak with her voice, but it's this town that I dream of. But we ain't got nothing better.
Yeah, that's true. Guess I'll look at Dane, see if he has any insight on the situation.
Before Dane responds, though, you get the sense that maybe guilt for Garbon, like a deep shame or guilt, something that he didn't want to do but had to do,
right,
happened here.
Yeah. So that probably, you think I'm thinking, or at least in Hadrius's mind, he's wondering if the dead woman that comes to him in this dream is from here, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So he's saying he doesn't want to go in there?
I'm saying that he is steeling himself to go in there again.
Oh. Well, yeah, there's probably a decent amount of charcoal in there we should go.
Possibly even fat and bone meal. You got to grind that, though.
There's wood ash, maybe?
Well, like my dad said, if you bankrupt yourself, you don't have to worry about anything anymore. So that's the bright side. So if we're going to march here to our doom and against my sense of the situation, then let's get to it. I'll just start walking forward. At least we'll eat well tonight. I'll gesture at the horses if they even made the journey.
Yeah, roll for them as well.
I don't have a...
Oh, yeah.
Just do a D100.
Yeah, but figure it's at 1/5 for the ones that have one or two. So for two of them.
Okay.
All right. So you'll be aiming fairly low. All right. So the first one's fine. Second one is not. Third one is not. So yeah, 2d4 for those horses. There was no fumble. I think they should be fine. Stamina's pretty big. It's more if you keep pushing is where the problem will come. Yeah, so that one of them's favoring their leg fairly well, but not enough to think that you need to down it yet.
Yeah, I'll keep the one that's in best shape. Well, actually, probably only have to give up one tonight, but I'll indicate to Garbon that we got to butcher up one of these horses. It's a long day. Men are going to need some food, I think.
All right, Gov.
Have at it. I'll give it off to him.
All right.
Give it to your cook.
Yeah.
Scully.
Right.
Yeah, he calls out for a man, and guy comes over, fairly portly older man, and he leads the horse around, kind of, or away, patting it. Still within sight of the other men. They're starting to get real leery about spreading out too much.
Yeah.
And Garbon divides the remainder of the men into two groups. Well, not the remainder, into three groups. One to stay with him and go searching, and then two to split off to the east or west, in hope of finding something decent enough to house them for the night, or at the very least be more defensible than it is. And let's see, can you guys roll a luck for me? All right. So one of the groups goes west. There isn't too much to this town. It's a one-horse type of town with a fairly simple wooden wall that kind of just nestled between these two hills. That was just kind of meant to be a guard outpost for this road, and it kind of grew into something a little bit bigger when the Baronia took over this area. His manor, quote unquote, on manor, would have been a decent sized house for a community this poor, right? Built from stone, most of its thatch roof is gone, and you are walking towards it. He's like,
yeah, this was the Baronia's house. Yeah, when someone came through and raided this part, burned it all up. I think we might be able to find enough to, at least defend it, maybe post the men around it.
Listen checks. All right. So you hear a whistling sound, but you don't know from which direction. You know, and a man standing next to Garbon suddenly has this disc embed in the side of his head, and he drops. And that's where we'll have to call it, I believe, because we're already in one.
All right. Time to rabbit, Dane.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Roll against your skills, any ones that you want. For, in your case, Hadrius, if you want to roll against sense, that's now.
This has been a Deathwatch production. Thank you for listening.